You know that feeling? Just that heavy, kind of nagging tiredness?
Hmm.
The kind that just sticks around, even like after you think you've had enough sleep. Like you're just never quite recovered.
Oh, absolutely. And you're definitely not alone with that. There was some research, I think, out of Japan suggesting something like uh, over 80% of people feel that way.
80%. Wow.
Yeah, it's this constant fatigue. It's a really pervasive thing in modern life.
And I think, so many of us have just been taught to push through it, almost like it's a good thing, right?
Exactly. Like rest is some kind of, I don't know, a luxury you only earn after you're totally wiped out.
Yeah, that powering through is the strong thing to do.
Right. But if you look at people who really need to perform, like top athletes, rest isn't optional for them. It's like fundamental.
It's part of the training yourself.
Completely. It's not what happens after you train. It's woven into the training. You plan for recovery proactively.
Which kind of brings us to why we wanted to do this deep dive today. We've been looking into this source material based on, well, a whole field called rest studies.
Oh, nay, yeah. It takes this really scientific, almost, strategic view of how to rest properly, effectively.
It's not just about, like, stopping when you finally crash.
No, it's more about understanding what fatigue actually is on a deeper level and then using rest really deliberately as a tool.
Right, to keep performing well and just, feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission here, really, is to unpack the key ideas from this source. We want to help you, our listener, figure out maybe how tired you really are.
And then discover some maybe surprising ways to actually rest.
Yeah, and learn how to schedule that recovery so it, actually works for your life.
So let's start right there. Do you really know how tired you are? I mean, could you be underestimating it?
Because it feels like we get pretty good at masking fatigue, don't we?
Oh, definitely.
You've got deadlines, maybe family stuff, all these external things
Yeah.
pushing you, maybe a bonus at work, or just not wanting to let your team down.
Uh-huh. And those things let us kind of just push past the physical feeling of being tired.
Yeah. Override the signal.
Well, the sports world actually has a useful idea here. It's called the fitness fatigue theory.
Okay.
Basically, it's fitness minus fatigue equals performance. Simple equation, right?
Fitness minus fatigue
Yeah.
equals performance. Got it.
But the key thing is, even if you manage to like temporarily boost your fitness or just ignore the fatigue part for a bit,
Mm-hmm.
that fatigue is still there. It's accumulating, it's building up.
Right. So pushing through doesn't make it go away.
Not at all. And the source we looked at used this really strong analogy. It said masking fatigue is like running a race on painkillers when you're actually injured.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You might finish,
Oh, yeah.
you might even seem okay for a little while, but that underlying damage, it isn't healing.
It's probably getting worse.
Exactly. And that built up fatigue, that debt, it will eventually catch up and drag down your performance, your quality of work, your energy, everything.
Okay. So that makes sense. How do we get a more honest picture then of that, like, underlying fatigue level?
Well, the source offered a really practical tool. It's a 15-item checklist.
Yeah.
Maybe as we go through them, you can just mentally tick off how many feel true for you right now.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it. Listeners, you can follow along too.
All right. Number 1, feeling sleepy no matter how much sleep you get.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
2, you feel tired, but when you actually try to sleep, you can't fall asleep.
That frustrating, wired but tired feeling.
Yeah. 3, feeling tired the very moment you wake up.
Yes.
4, sleeping in really late on your days off and then just kind of lounging around all day.
Guilty. Sometimes.
5, working in a place where it feels genuinely hard to take time off.
That's a tough one for many.
6, overtime is just normal, expected even.
Yep.
7, feeling worried or stressed about relationships, work, personal, whatever. 8, doing relentless nonstop work like childcare or maybe caring for an elderly relative.
The constant demand.
9, finding yourself getting irritable over really small, trivial things recently.
Napping easily.
Yeah. 10, having physical symptoms like eye strain or really stiff shoulders.
Oh, yeah, the shoulder thing. Definitely.
11, you tend to prefer quick showers over actually soaking in a bath.
Interesting. Why that one?
Maybe suggests not taking time for slower, more restorative activities, just getting things done quickly.
Okay.
12, having lots of evening social things, maybe work events or dinners, but still having to be up and commuting to work by 9 a.m. the next day.
Burning the candle at both ends.
13, needing stuff like energy drinks or coffee just to feel motivated or get going.
The caffeine crutch.
14, Noticing a decreased libido or sex drive.
Okay.
And 15, just generally noticing a significant drop in your motivation and maybe your physical strength lately.
Okay, that's 15. So take a second, everyone. Count up how many you checked off.
So the source gives a kind of rough guide based on your score.
What does it say?
If you ticked 0 to 2, you're probably doing okay, relatively energetic.
Good place to be.
If you're in the 3 to 5 range, fatigue is definitely starting to build up. You need to start paying attention and consciously resting.
Okay, a yellow flag.
Exactly. But if you scored 6 to 10, the source basically says that's a serious danger zone.
Wow.
Yeah, you need to think about proper rest and recovery, like right now, immediately.
That's a real wake-up call if you're in that higher range.
It is. And the speaker in the original source, they mentioned they scored a 4.
Okay, so in that middle zone.
Yeah. They pointed to things like not having fixed days off, the stiff shoulders we mentioned, needing coffee. They actually made this funny little comment that their sex drive hadn't decreased, maybe suggesting, it hits everyone differently. Not every system is flashing red at once.
That's relatable. Fatigue isn't always a blanket then.
No. But the main point they stressed is, look, your average day, the commute, the work stress, maybe dealing with kids, chores, that's a significant load.
It really is. It might not feel like running a marathon, but cumulatively.
Right. It can be comparable physically and mentally to what an athlete manages. But here's the difference.
Yeah. We don't have a coach.
Exactly. Most of us don't have someone watching our energy levels, checking our fatigue stats, telling us, okay, time for a rest day.
So we have to be our own coach.
We have to cultivate that self-awareness, learn to listen to our bodies and minds before we completely burn out or break down.
Okay. That makes total sense. So let's say you've done the checklist, you realize, yeah, okay, I am tired. Maybe more than I thought. What next? How do you actually rest effectively? Because like we said, just collapsing on the couch doesn't always seem to fix it, does it?
No, often it doesn't. And this is where that whole rest studies approach gets really, really interesting.
Okay.
It goes way beyond just sleep. It breaks rest down into 7 distinct types.
7 types of rest.
Yeah. Think of them like different tools in your recovery kit. Or the source used this analogy of different RPG jobs for getting your energy back.
Okay, I like that. Like different character classes for resting.
Kinda. Each one tackles recovery from a slightly different angle.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay them on us. What are these 7 types?
All right, let's go through them. First is the conversion type.
Conversion.
This is all about resetting fatigue by changing your environment. Simple things, really, like changing your clothes as soon as you get home from work.
Oh, interesting. Just that little act.
Yeah, or maybe rearranging a corner of your room, eating out somewhere different, taking a new route on your walk. It just breaks the pattern and shifts your mental state.
Okay, conversion type. Got it. What's number 2?
Number 2 is the shaping or creation type.
Shaping creation, like making things.
Exactly. Getting involved in creative activities. Could be drawing, writing, maybe some DIY, building something. The source even mentioned planning an imaginary trip just by looking at maps.
Really?
Yeah.
Imaginary travel counts.
Apparently. It highlights that using your imagination is actually a really powerful way to recover energy. You distract your mind from the fatigue by focusing it on something new, something you're building or exploring.
I like that. Okay, 3rd type.
3rd is the recreation type. This is probably more familiar.
Like hobbies and fun stuff.
Pure enjoyment, designed to change your mood, listening to music you absolutely love, watching a great movie, getting lost in a hobby, reading a book that grabs you.
The key is enjoyment.
And immersion, really letting yourself get absorbed in something you genuinely like.
Makes sense. Recreation. Number 4.
4 is the progress type. This one is about getting energy from connection.
Connection with people.
Primarily, yeah. Talking with friends, a hug from someone you love, playing with a pet. The source even suggested that, like, small positive interactions, a quick chat with a barista, a friendly greeting can contribute.
So when you feel drained, reaching out can actually refuel you.
Sometimes, yes. If that social battery needs charging, connection is the way.
Okay. Progress type. Halfway there. Number 5.
5 is the nutrition type. And this isn't just about eating healthy food, though that's important.
What else then?
The big emphasis in the source was on resting your digestive system. Specifically, not overeating.
Interesting. So giving your gut a break.
Exactly. It suggested things like drinking warm water to soothe your stomach. The idea is that when your digestive system is overworked and tired, it makes your whole body feel heavy and sluggish.
I can see that. Okay, nutrition type about digestive rest. Number 6.
Number 6 might surprise some people. Exercise type.
Wait, exercise is rest. Isn't that counterintuitive?
It sounds like it, but we're talking about light movement here. Things like walking, gentle yoga, stretching.
Not like a hardcore workout.
Right. The idea is that this light movement helps improve your lymphatic flow. It helps clear out waste products from your muscles, effectively speeding up the removal of those things that cause fatigue.
So the gentle movement helps you clean house, basically.
That's a good way to put it. It actively helps recovery.
Fascinating. Okay, exercise type. And the last one, number 7.
Number 7 is the one we usually think of. The rest type.
Like sleeping, napping.
Exactly. Sleeping, taking a nap, just lounging around, doing nothing. Traditional rest. But,
Sketch.
well, the source adds an important nuance. It's most effective when it's conscious, intentional recovery time. Meaning you decide, okay, now is my time to rest and recover, rather than just collapsing onto the sofa because you physically can't move anymore. It's scheduled, planned rest, not just hitting empty.
So being proactive about even just chilling out makes it work better.
That's the idea. More deliberate.
Wow. Okay, those 7 are really comprehensive. Conversion, shaping creation, recreation, progress, nutrition, exercise, and rest. And I can already see how they're not like totally separate buckets. You could mix and match, couldn't you?
Absolutely. That's a great point. They can definitely work together.
Like going for a walk that's exercise type with a friend, which is progress type.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Or maybe listening to music you love, recreation, while you're doing some drawing, shaping creation.
Yeah. Or going to a yoga class, exercise, maybe chatting with people there, progress, and then grabbing a healthy, light meal afterwards, nutrition.
Exactly. They can synergize. The goal isn't, to try and do all 7 every single day. That would be exhausting in itself.
Yeah, probably.
It's more about being aware that these different needs exist, and then consciously choosing different types of rest throughout your week based on what you feel you need most at that time.
So instead of just thinking, I'm tired, you might think, okay, what kind of tired am I?
Precisely.
Like, I've been staring at this spreadsheet all day. My brain feels fried. Maybe I need some conversion type. Go outside, change the scenery.
Or I've been working alone all week, feeling a bit isolated. Maybe I need some progress type rest. I should call my sister.
Right. Making that active choice before you're totally burnt out.
That's the heart of it. That proactive selection based on your specific kind of fatigue. That's the key to finding the rest methods that really recharge your batteries most effectively.
And ultimately, that helps you maintain performance.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Finding your best ways to rest is crucial for keeping your performance levels high over the long term.
Okay, this is incredibly useful. We understand fatigue better. We've got this amazing toolkit of 7 different rest types. But then there's the big question, isn't there?
The when.
Yeah, when do we actually do this? This feels like where it falls apart for so many people, myself included sometimes.
It's a huge challenge because the default mode for most of us is reactive. We schedule rest reactively.
We wait, right? We think, okay, I'll take a break after this big project is done, or I'll relax when things calm down at work.
Exactly. When things settle. That's the classic phrase.
And the source basically argues that's a terrible strategy, doesn't it?
It makes a very strong case against it. Because think about it. By the time things have finally calmed down, where are you usually at?
Utterly exhausted, running on fumes.
Precisely. You're completely depleted. And then taking just a day or 2 off, it's often not nearly enough to climb out of that deep fatigue hole you've dug.
Yeah. That's just patching things up after the fact. Post-depletion rest, you called it.
Right. So the recommended approach, the really strategic way to think about it, is to flip that script entirely.
How?
Schedule your significant rest first.
First, before the work.
Yes. Prioritize it. Put it on the calendar before everything else piles up.
Like plan your vacation days at the start of the year before you know exactly when the busy periods will hit.
That's exactly the kind of example the source gives. It mentions how in Germany, apparently, it's quite common for teams to sit down at the beginning of the year and schedule their long holidays.
Wow.
They get booked in, prioritized, and then the projects, they get planned around those pre-scheduled rest periods.
That is a radically different way of thinking for many workplaces.
It is. But think about the shift in mindset. It gives you this sense of control, right? Subjective control over your time instead of feeling like work just dictates everything.
Yeah, you're driving the schedule, not just reacting to it.
And the author of the source material, they push this idea even further. They suggested strategically scheduling rest before periods, are going to be busy or particularly challenging.
Rest before the tough part, not after.
Yeah, think about it practically. Imagine, you have a crazy day coming up, maybe tons of errands, appointments, looking after kids all day. What do you instinctively try to do the night before?
Get a good night's sleep, if possible. Go to bed early.
Exactly. You're not resting after that demanding day as a reward. You're resting in preparation for it, to face it better.
Okay, I see it now. So strategic rest isn't the prize you get for working hard. It's like part of the preparation.
That's it precisely.
Yeah.
Like an athlete tapering their training before a huge competition.
So they arrive at the starting line fresh, not worn out.
Exactly. The goal is to enter those demanding times. Maybe it's the end of a fiscal quarter, a big product launch, even just a personally stressful period. You want to enter that in the best possible shape, physically and mentally.
Because you deliberately built up your reserves beforehand. You filled the tank before starting the long journey.
That's the core idea.
That really does change everything. Because usually, you just kind of grit your teeth, power through that tough week on adrenaline and coffee.
Hoping you can just collapse and recover over the weekend.
Yeah. But this way, you approach that challenge knowing you've already invested in your energy. You're prepared.
And the source highlights a really important psychological benefit here, too.
What's that?
Strategic rest builds confidence. Just knowing you took the time to rest properly beforehand gives you this feeling of preparedness. Like, okay, I rested, I'm ready, I can handle this.
And that feeling itself probably helps you perform better.
Paradoxically, yes. That confidence, that reduced anxiety about coping can actually boost your energy and resilience when you're in the thick of it.
So the really big, maybe life-changing shift is moving away from I'll rest when things calm down.
Right, the reactive mode.
Towards proactively taking significant rest before things get demanding.
Yes. That perspective shift alone, seeing rest as preparation, not just recovery, that could fundamentally change how you approach your work, your stress, your whole quality of life.
Yeah, hugely powerful.
Yeah.
Now, let's be real for a second. The source acknowledges this isn't always easy, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's crucial to acknowledge the practical challenges. Workplace culture is a massive factor.
If your boss never takes a vacation, or if there's subtle pressure not to take time off.
Exactly. If taking leave is frowned upon, or if leadership just doesn't model healthy rest habits, it makes it much harder for individuals to prioritize it. It takes courage.
The source had that striking story, didn't it, about the kindergarten teachers?
Yes, about a foreign teacher working in Japan who took a whole month off every August. Standard practice for them.
While the Japanese colleagues were basically told, oh no, that's just not possible for us.
Right. It starkly illustrates how deep these cultural norms around rest and vacation can run, and how different they can be.
So it might require what the source called the courage not to work sometimes.
Pushing back a bit, or at least consciously choosing to prioritize your well-being, even if the culture pushes against it. And, the source also gently reminds people that in many places, taking your paid leave isn't a favor the company grants you. It's a legal right, often protected by labor laws.
Good point. It's part of your compensation, really.
And ultimately, protecting your own health, your own energy has to be a priority, regardless of external pressures, because no one else will do it for you.
You have to be your own advocate for recovery, even when it feels awkward or difficult.
You do. So while the principle of strategic rest is incredibly powerful, actually implementing it might involve navigating some of those real-world hurdles.
Right. Understood. So let's try and wrap up this deep dive. We've covered a lot, and it feels like a really fresh way to look at being tired. We started by really questioning how well we even know our own fatigue levels, how easy it is to mask it, and why we need to get better at recognizing the signs early, maybe using that checklist as a starting point.
Yeah, understanding that fitness minus fatigue equals performance equation. Then we dove into those 7 distinct types of rest, which was fascinating.
Totally. Moving beyond just sleep to see rest as involving, changing our environment, conversion, being creative, shaping creation, enjoying things, recreation, connecting with others, progress.
Resting our digestion, nutrition, incorporating light movement, exercise, and then also making time for that intentional, traditional rest type. It's a whole recovery toolkit.
A toolkit to tackle different kinds of fatigue, which feels really empowering.
And then the final big piece, the power of strategic rest.
Yeah, flipping the script, moving away from that reactive, I'll rest when I'm dead kind of approach.
hopefully before then.
Right, toward a proactive strategy, scheduling proper, significant rest before the demanding periods hit.
Using rest as preparation to build resilience and enter those challenges already in good shape.
So by putting all this together, understanding your fatigue, using the right type of rest in the toolkit, and timing it strategically.
You really can make a difference. Boost your performance, yes, but also just gain more control over your energy, your time, and, well, your overall quality of life.
It feels like a much more sustainable and honestly healthier way to operate.
It does.
So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with, something that really stuck with me from the source.
Yeah.
What if you genuinely stopped thinking about rest as just a reward you get only after you've pushed yourself to the limit? Or worse, seeing it as some kind of weakness. And instead, what if you started viewing rest as, well, as a fundamental strategic tool, like an essential part of your own personal training plan, something you use deliberately to build the capacity, the energy, the resilience you need to face whatever's coming next.
Seeing rest not as stopping, but as preparing.
Exactly. Preparing to be at your best. That shift in perspective, that feels like it could change quite a lot.